Leo Tolstoy, 1828–1910, was an outstanding Russian writer, publicist, thinker, one of the great novelists in world literature. The biography of Tolstoy, Lev Nikolaevich, is full of interesting facts and events. He was an extraordinary, unique personality. The study of his life and work will be useful for students of all classes. Childhood years. The date of birth of Lev Nikolaevich is August 28, September 9, 1828. The future writer was born in the estate of his mother Yasnaya Polyana, located in the Tula province. The parents of the future writer belonged to the Count's branch of the old noble family of Tolstoy. Little Leo was left without maternal love and care early. The cause of his mother's death was a difficult birth, and a 2-year-old lion with older brothers and sister was brought up by relatives' guardians. After the death of their father, the orphan children moved to Kazan to their aunt, P.I. Yushkova. The Yushkovs' house was very cheerful and hospitable. My aunt loved her nephews with all her heart, took care of their education, and Leo Tolstoy's childhood was truly happy. He later described these years in his autobiographical story, Childhood. Youth. Lev Nikolaevich received an excellent home education and in 1843 entered the Imperial Kazan University, where his older brother Nikolai studied. At first, it was the Faculty of Oriental Languages, but due to low academic performance, the young count had to leave it and enter the Faculty of Law. However, Tolstoy studied here for no more than 2 years. He dropped out of university without getting a higher education. Lev Nikolaevich returned to Yasnaya Polyana, having made an attempt to manage the estate and live as a landowner. But life in the village disappointed the young man, and he went to Moscow, then to St. Petersburg. He began to keep a diary, where he wrote down everything important that he had to achieve in life. Tolstoy engaged in self-education, read a lot. He set high goals for himself, some of which he realized, and some of which he could not realize. He studied history, music, drawing, medicine and natural sciences, agriculture, foreign languages. As a result, in adulthood, he spoke English, French, German fluently, read Italian, some Slavic languages, knew Latin, Greek, Tatar and other languages. It was a period of spiritual search and tossing. The desire to be better and cleaner was replaced by carousing with gypsies and cards. As a result, Leo Tolstoy, having passed the exam at St. Petersburg University, did not study, but went to the Caucasus with the rank of a junker, where his brother Nikolai was serving at that time. Literature. Tolstoy's creative path originates in the Caucasus, where Tolstoy spent 3 years. It was there that he composed the novella Childhood, followed by the novellas Adolescence and Youth, which made up an autobiographical trilogy. His literary debut in the magazine Savremennik turned out to be successful, and Lev Nikolaevich decided to devote himself entirely to literature. Soon from his pen came the cycle, Sevastopol Stories, dedicated to the Crimean War and the defense of Sevastopol, in which he personally participated. Returning to St. Petersburg, Tolstoy became a member of the literary circle, Savremennik, where he was sincerely admired. However, the writer quickly got tired of the hustle and bustle of the capital and went on a trip to Europe. Upon his return to Yasnaya Polyana, he started arranging schools for peasant children. He wrote the ABC, as well as hundreds of kind and instructive fairy tales for the youngest. The most important works of Tolstoy were the novels Anna Karenina and War and Peace, the contents of which almost everyone knows. These are deep psychological works in which the writer filigreed not only the inner world of the characters, but also reflected the most important social problems of society. In the 1880s, there was a turning point in the writer's mind, which was reflected in the works Kreutzer Sonata, The Death of Ivan Ilyich, After the Ball, Father Sergius. Through his novels and short stories, Tolstoy spoke out against social inequality, the idleness of the nobles, immorality, and the emptiness of the life of the ruling class. Personal life. In a brief biography of Leo Tolstoy, it is important to note that his chosen one was 18-year-old Sophia Behrs, who was 16 years younger than her husband. This marriage turned out to be successful, although there were disagreements between the spouses more than once. In 1863, there was a replenishment in the family. The firstborn of the Tolstoy couple was born. There is information that in total Sofia Andreevna gave birth to 13 children, 5 of whom did not live to adulthood. For many years she was a loyal friend and colleague of Lev Nikolaevich, helped and supported in every possible way, completely protected from solving everyday issues. Leo Tolstoy died on November 7, 1910, at the 83rd year of his life. The cause of death was a banal cold, which gave the most serious complication, croup inflammation of the lungs. The writer was buried, as he himself bequeathed, in Yasnaya Polyana, on the edge of a ravine in the forest. His happy years passed here, and here he and his brothers in childhood were looking for a green wand that could make all people happy. The writer lived in this house for more than 50 years. All the things of the book, the paintings here, are authentic. They belonged to Tolstoy at home, or else the writer's ancestor. The house still retains the atmosphere of 1910, the last year of Tolstoy's life. By that time the children had grown up and left. Lev Nikolaevich himself, his wife Sofia Andreevna, and their youngest daughter Alexandra, stayed at the estate almost all year round. The whole family gathered together on holidays. It was noisy, fun, then it was clear. Polyanskaya Hall. In the largest room of the house, where you're going up the stairs now. On the landing there are the opening hours of the English company Norton, but they were brought to Yasnaya Polyana by the grandfather of the writer Prince Nikolai Sergeyevich Volkonskaya. They count down the time for more than 200 years. The Tolstoys loved and were able to receive guests. It happened that 50 people gathered at the dining table, so they put chairs around in 2 rows, no longer for lunch, but in general they took interesting conversations, played chess, engaged in needlework by the light of a large kerosene lamp, put all kinds of entertainment, home masquerades, theatrical performances. Decoration of the front room put old mirrors under Princess Volkonskaya and family portraits. One of the most famous portraits of Tolstoy belongs to the brush of Ivan Nikolaevich Krymsky. This is the work of 1873. Then the writers were 45 years old, and the beginning Lev Nikolaevich did not agree to pose for a portrait of Krymsky. Managed to persuade him, or 2 similar works. One of them is in front of you, the other is in the Tretiakov Gallery. After 14 years, another portrait of Tolstoy was painted by Tolstoy's student Ilya Yefimovich Repin. Next to him on the right is a portrait of Tolstoy's wife, Sofia Andreevna, the work of Valentin Serev. In the center is a portrait of the eldest daughter, writer Tatiana, created by Repin. Tatiana herself was a talented artist, studied at the Moscow School of Painting Sculpture from Society. On the left she has a portrait of the middle daughter, so it is written, Nikolai Nikolaevich. Old family portraits of the late 18th from the beginning of the 19th century. Tolstoy carefully studied the history of his family among his ancestors, a writer, and a few gifted people, diplomats, bosses. Travelers of the writer, we turn to the parquet of Tolstoy's closest ancestors. Portrait of Tolstoy's great-grandfather Prince Nikolai Ivanovich Gorchakov. From the right, Ilya Andreevich Tolstoy, collegiate advisor to the Kazan governor, he went down in family history as a good-natured, generous man. Ilya Andreevich, it's easy to find out in the novel War and Peace too, the name is just another surname, Rostov, Natasha's father. The prototype of one of the heroes of the novel of the old Prince Volkonskaya was Tolstoy's grandfather Polina's mother Prince Nikolai Sergeyevich Polkovsky. His portrait is from the left when he was the owner of the estate. However, the prince's youth was not spent in Yasnaya Polyana, but in the capital at the court of Catherine to participate in military campaigns against Turkey. Volkonskaya became a general mathematician. 45 years left the service, he settled in Yasnaya Polyana. Maybe it was from him that Tolstoy inherited a hot-tempered, unpredictable character, an acute sense of self-esteem. Such a strange will was left by Leo Tolstoy. I wrote in my will to my loved ones so that when I die, they would not allow church servants to come to me, and my dead body would be removed as soon as possible, without any spells and prayers over it, as they remove every nasty and unnecessary thing so that it does not interfere with the living. L. Tolstoy.